Business.
We're good. All right, we'll continue with our regular council meeting, May 27, 2025. It was moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Allen. Be it resolved that council rises from the closed session of May 27, 2025 at 5:50 p.m. and reports the following. Discussion regarding the potential sale of municipally owned properties, 433 Maryland Avenue, 711 Gleason Avenue, 516 7th Avenue and Copper Road East, in accordance with section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001. Discussion of personal matters regarding identifiable individuals, including committee and bursary applications, in accordance with 239(2)B of the Municipal Act. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Charbonneau, whereas the township owns land identified as roll number 5614-000-005-13200, located at the east end of Copper Road in the township of Black River, Masson. And whereas council has reviewed a proposed lease agreement between the township and Mike Felgner and Tom Felgner for the use of approximately 50 acres of this land for agricultural purposes. Now therefore be it resolved that council direct staff to proceed with finalizing the lease agreement discussed and to present the associated bylaw for consideration at a future meeting of council. All those in favor? It was moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that council approve the sale of municipally owned land located at 711 Gleason Avenue, Holtire, to Roxanne Lawrence for the purchase price of $3,100, and that the purchaser be responsible for all costs associated with the land transfer. And finally, that staff be directed to prepare the necessary bylaw and documents to complete the transaction. All those in favor? Great. Was moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Gaddery. Be it resolved that council approve the sale of the municipally owned land located at 433 Maryland Avenue, Masson, to Ken and Katie Peters for the purchase price of $5,000, and that the purchaser shall be responsible for all costs associated with the land transfer. And finally, that staff be directed to prepare the necessary bylaw and documents to complete the transaction. All those in favor? Was moved by Councillor Gaddery, second by Councillor Allen. Be it resolved that council approve the sale of the municipally owned land located at 516 7th Avenue, Matheson, to Joel and Joanne Gibson for the purchase price of $800, and that the purchaser shall be responsible for all costs associated with the land transfer. And finally, that staff be directed to prepare the necessary bylaw and documents to complete the transaction. All those in favor? Was moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that council appoint the following as members of the township's physician recruitment committee effective immediately: Anne Malbuff, Megan Villeneuve, and that staff be directed to update the committee membership list and notify the appointees accordingly. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Allen. Be resolved that council award the 2025 Township of Black River, Masson bursaries as follows: Keisha Lougheed, $2,500. Kira Bourgeois, $1,500. George Cuddy, $1,000. And that council delegates attend the following graduation ceremonies to present the awards: École Secondaire Alliance, Thursday, June 19th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Councillor Gaddery. Iroquois Falls Secondary School, Wednesday, June 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Mayor Diamond. And finally, that staff be directed to coordinate the distribution of bursary funds and confirm attendance for each ceremony. All those in favor? That brings us to our special order of business, and we have Neil Morris here tonight to talk about the consideration of a drainage report. So I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Morris.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me fine?
Yep.
Ooh. Can you hear me?
A little bit louder, maybe.
Louder? Okay, let's see what I can do. How's this? Can you hear me now?
Nope, worse.
Give me 1 minute here.
That one, push a button. Like that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. Could I share my screen for a minute?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and councillors. I'm pleased to present the REACH drain for consideration. This is just an example of a flood that's occurred in the REACH watershed. So there is a definite drainage problem in this area. So just thought I show that to everyone. So in this meeting, I'll briefly explain a little bit of the report, a little bit of the process, and then I will open it up to the floor afterwards. So just a little bit about the Drainage Act process. It is statute law, and it dates back to the 1830s, and it usually deals with public and private landowners, public roads and private landowners. And it's basically, it's to resolve common sort of drainage problems that exist throughout a watershed. If there's a farmer needs an outlet for a tile drain, or if there's flooding, to alleviate those properties. And inherently, since water comes from upstream, and because of the British common law system that we have, upstream landowners don't necessarily have the right to drain onto downstream landowners' property. The Drainage Act was created to resolve some of these issues, to deal with that. So a municipal drain can be open ditch, closed tiles, storm sewers, basically anything that can resolve a surface water drainage issue. And once my drain report is adopted by bylaw, it becomes the municipality's responsibility to maintain it in perpetuity, and unless there's an amending bylaw to abandon the drain, then there is a specific process for that. A little bit of background: we were originally appointed in 2018 to prepare a Section 4 report to alleviate some flooding issues around Robin Road, as well as provide an outlet across Mill Road as well. The existing outlet was undersized, and the existing ditch was substantially, the existing culvert across the road was quite a bit higher. And I think historically, before there was some work done in the watershed, the water may have gone actually further to the south. And the purpose of this is to upgrade the existing ditches and upgrade the road crossings through this process. So this is a brief layout of the watershed. The dashed green line is the watershed that I've determined. That watershed we've used on-site visual. We've looked on-site to make sure that it's right in many cases, as well as using what's called a digital elevation model from the province. The province goes over this area and flies it, and creates a digital elevation surface down to about 1 meter squares, down to sort of centimeter accuracy for for the entire province. So using that information, we can determine where the high points are and where the low points are, and that's how we determine our watershed based off that information. The brown lines are open ditches. So branch 1, they've already done some work on that one, and same with interval 1 down at the main drain downstream of Miller Road, which is to the east. Along Miller Road, we'll be digging out a new ditch there, and then once we cross Robin Road up to the existing MTO Highway 11, that would be a tile system there. So just a quick breakdown of some of the stats for this drain. There's approximately 3,508 meters of total drain involved. In the main drain, there's about 1,900 meters of open ditch. Of that, about approximately 700 meters we're just incorporating what's already there. There is an overflow swale where the tile is going. And then we have about 270 meters of enclosed drain, which is a tile. The branch drain, there with that one, it's about another 700 meters of open ditch to be excavated, and about 400 meters of incorporation that's going to occur there. So the total watershed area is about 248 or 49 roughly hectares in area, and the total cost of the project is about $270,000. Of that, about $170,000 is construction. About $40,000 is allowances, and allowances are basically an accounting method because we're going across private land. Landowners are compensated for the loss of their land, which is a right-of-way allowance, as well as damages for potential crop loss that occur during construction. Engineering and administrative costs are about $57,000. The total assessment to the township is about $59,000. MTO's assessment is about $18,000, and then the total assessment to the landowners is about $31,000, and of that, there is also about $122,000 of grant that is eligible that the province will cover. The municipality assessments. It has 2 special assessments to Robin Road and Miller Road, and these are a special assessment is if there's an increased cost due to a utility or a road right of way, that road right of way or utility pays for that increased cost, not everyone else in the watershed. And that utility, if they want to, they can actually elect to do that with their own forces if they want. That my estimate for that is there's 3 crossings in total, and it's about $25,000 for Robin Road, and there's about $24,000 for Miller Road. The basic objective of this meeting is to give up landowners and the municipality or councillors an ability to question the engineer on the design. So if the alignment is not correct, or if you want to change the alignment, or if the sizing or design isn't to a high enough standard, you can bring it forward at this meeting. It is also a requirement that council at this meeting make it available for landowners to add or remove their name from the petition. At this point, there are the Reaches have petitioned for the drain. So at the end of this meeting, if the there's no, if there is a change in the petition by landowners adding or removing, the engineer would determine if it's still valid and decide to proceed or not. If it's invalid, then the drain stops, and those costs, engineering costs, are assessed out to the petitioners. At this meeting, the costs, which are assessed to the landowners, can't really be discussed at this point or changed at this meeting. That would be at a subsequent meeting, usually 20 to 30 days. So it's probably be the next council meeting to deal with assessments. And the Court of Revision can change any assessment, but they have to, the total cost of the project can't change. So they can only change it from one landowner to another landowner, so a road or something like that. And where it does change, they would also have the ability to appeal that change afterwards. So at the end of this meeting, there's basically two main options that council can do. They can refer the report back to the engineer if there's concerns, or if you want to make technical changes, or council can give it first and second reading, and then set up a date for the Court of Revision. And I'd just like to end my presentation and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. I will now open the floor for questions. Because if you have questions, this is the gentleman to ask. No question from council? Oh, Councilor McCutcheon?
So the drains, like the ditches that are built on municipal land and goes onto the private land, when this is all completed, is the landowner to maintain the ditches on the private property, or is it the municipalities to maintain the whole entire drainage system?
The municipality is obligated to maintain the entire system, but there are assessment schedules for those costs. So you would have a drainage superintendent, and I believe at this point it is your road superintendent. They would be obligated to maintain it as per my report. And any costs that the municipality incurs would be assessed out to those assessment schedules, as well as the municipality is obligated to maintain it as per my report as well. So it's a statutory requirement that you maintain it. Again, not all the costs are the municipalities. In most municipal drains is more like a bank. So everything flows through it, and then you assess out the cost afterwards that to the landowners in the watershed. Okay.
Councilor McCutcheon?
Follow-up question to that. So the ditches that are part of the drainage system that goes to property land, does the municipality have to have a right of way to maintain those?
You do under this report, and that's what those allowances are for. So there is a right-of-way allowance that is set up along both sides of the drain. So the municipality can go in there with an excavator or any other piece of equipment to maintain that drain in perpetuity. So you do have the right, as well as the drainage superintendent, to walk onto private land to deal with those issues. Yes, you can enter any of those.
Councilor Gattaby?
I'm just looking, the report was prepared quite a while ago. Are the costs today or the costs then?
The cost unfortunately would be then. And I'm hoping in this case, the cleanout cost will not have, or the excavation cost will not have increased too much. They typically haven't. Tile prices have. But unfortunately, once I submit my report, I don't really have the ability to update it until it goes forward. So if it does go higher than my engineer's estimate, there is an additional meeting that will be held with council and the petitioners to see if they still want to proceed with the proposed work or not. And that would be set if it's over 133%, my engineer's estimate.
Mr. Lee?
Through the mayor, I'm Neil. For the quarter revision, it's just for clarification, 3 or 5 members.
It can be both. So it's really up to council. You can choose 3 to 5 members. So
I've tentatively set it for June 24th for the 2 meetings from now. To hold the quarter
Okay.
revision and appoint the members at this meeting.
yes, you can do that.
Any other, oh, Councilor Allen?
Just looking at the maps here and knowing from driving down Robin Road, branch 1. That is one of the ones you intend on making a drain there, but there's already a drain there, so does that just need to be cleared out and made bigger?
In parts, yes. Only at the upper part where I think there's any actually work to be done. Most of that is incorporation of what's there. Yes.
There is a drain there.
Yes, there is a ditch there. So
Councilor McCutcheon?
One final question for the right of way. Let's say the township has to go in there while there's crops. And the excavator goes in and damages the crops. Who's on the hook for the compensation for the crops? Us or the province?
so in this case, those allowances, there are damage allowances in the allowances as well, and that's what accounts for those damages for future maintenance if you have to clean out and damage crops as well. So it covers both aspects. So through this report, those landowners essentially have already been compensated for potential crop damages in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Just to, the petitioners, Chris and Kyla Reach, have the right to withdraw from this petition under section 42 of the Drainage Act. I just have to confirm if you want to do that or not.
No, we don't.
Okay. And then as well, the owners in the area requiring drainage have the right to sign the petition under section 43 of the Drainage Act. Do we have any owners here that want to sign that petition?
I have some questions.
Okay. We can still, we still have access to Mr. Morris, so. If you want, yeah, Mr. Morris would be your best bet for those questions.
Okay, on Miller Road where the main drain is, there are actually 3 ditches there altogether.
Okay.
About there to there. This road was much wider 50 years ago. There was double drain on this side and a single drain on that side. No way to get water across, and every year this floods from about there to there, and all the water from this area goes that way. I don't know whether they want to change the whole design, because if you just put a ditch on this side, you still have to deal with all the water that's on there.
Okay.
Mr.
Morris?
So I would love to go out and resolve all the drainage problems that exist in the watershed, but I can only act on the lands that have petitioned to resolve their drainage issue. So if my understanding is correct, on Miller Road, it's on the east side of Miller Road. There is I call it, there's essentially a W ditch there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. But what this will allow you to potentially do is if you get an agreement with, we will have a fairly deep ditch on the west side of Miller Road. And if you can get an agreement between yourself and the municipality to potentially put a small pipe across there to resolve some of those issues, that's something that can be done. This is in the watershed. It's completely allowed to do that. And once the infrastructure is in there, I just recommend that if you do any subsequent connections to a municipal drain, that the drain superintendent be notified that the work can occur. So those are your options at this point. Add your name to the petition, and the report would be referred back to me to change it to the opposite side, or which would be a little more expensive, or potentially do an agreement drain with the municipality, which would probably be a lot cheaper to deal with it that way. Okay.
I got some more information for you as well.
Okay.
This drain and this ditch on this side here is collapsed in this general area. So the water flowing from this side, it does go over the height of land, which is approximately here. So it's lower on this side, lower on that side, but everything stops because of the height of land here is approximately 2 feet higher than upstream, downstream. The other problem that we have here is the fact that the water coming off this main drain into this ditch is of sufficient volume that it actually has collapsed the bank in this area of the ditch, approximately 50 feet long, anywhere from 12 to 16 feet high. So that, they've already identified that riprap is required, but I think they better look at it and they better get the different size of riprap, because they're gonna need something bigger than just 5-inch.
Mr. Morse?
So just to be clear, it's this area that they're talking about.
The area, this here area here is not bad as far as drainage, but when you get down to this area here, that's where the ditch itself is much, slope of the ditch is much steeper.
Mhm.
And this side right here, right now there's 3 poplars. I'm guessing they're 50 feet tall. They've since been washed, the roots have been washed away, and they're now leaning down and going across the ditch and laying on the other side right now. And that was a result of excavations and freeing up of dirt and whatnot in the culverts that are at Miller. The one that's really plugged, the small one under that's down like 4.5 feet deeper than the main one.
Just let me get a minute here.
And that slope of that ditch is pretty well the same right from the excavation that was done several years ago up to the area that we just spoke about, all the way to the access point where it goes into the Wild Goose River. It's extremely steep, that whole area. It's in some spots, it's from horizontal, it's approximately, I would say, 35 to 45 feet below grade. So where the bottom of that ditch would be in the drainage ditch. You may have to rethink the riprap.
So this is the profile of the main drain, and what I've proposed to occur. Just give me a minute. Is this at the bottom of our proposed work, this right here, this is called a riffle. And this is basically we're putting riprap in the bottom of the channel, about 1 meter thick. And this riprap is about the size is about 2-foot diameter rocks, and angular rocks as well. So this is fairly substantial, and that is basically to prevent that erosion, because I do note that, yes, after this point we have a tremendous amount of grade here, and this is basically a little area to cause the water to stop and sort of protect the ditch from going any deeper with this fairly substantial And as well, it is approximately, I think about 20 meters, 10 meters long as well. So it's about 1 meter deep, and about 10 meters long, basically over excavating the existing channel there and putting, these are very large, substantial stones in, with minor stones as well. And that's something to sort of protect and hold the channel in from eroding away any farther. So yes, we've definitely considered beefing up the riprap. It's not just little 6-inch riprap at this point. This is 2-foot diameter, nominal size.
And you said it was what, 30 meters long? Or 20 meters?
10 meters long, 10 meters, so 30 feet basically.
And just a comment, but I don't think it's enough because I've walked that area many times. And where the water actually starts going through, because of the runoff, and once the beaver material has been removed from the culvert, there's the sudden inflow of water to that drain. It just takes everything out of its path and just takes it downstream. And once it crosses approximately, I would say 25 to 30 meters away from the road crossing, it starts dropping down in elevation, as you have shown in your little red circles.
Mhm.
Slow down for the next 200 yards.
Okay. Yeah, we can probably do it at the time of construction. If we want to put more in at that point, I think that's can be done. I don't have a problem with that. And I think we put this in here, and if the drainage superintendent, if you do run into issues further down the road, these riffles would be your most effective way at protecting the channel from continuing to erode down. So again, these are fairly substantial rock structures. They're embedded in the existing soil, so it's as well as they're fairly large size diameter stones. So
I'm just giving you first-hand information because I've done walking that area on our property lots, and I know what's happening down in that whole area.
things like these have been installed on a number of drains that have had steep slopes like this, and they seem to hold up long term quite well. So yes, if we need to put more of these in, I'm perfectly fine with doing something like that.
Well, the main thing is if when the drain is put in and the sections of the drains are installed in the proper elevation, you should never get a rush of water. It should be just basically flowing at a slow level.
Mhm.
My concern is just at the start, because if you get another beaver dam, and that our little friend, the beaver that's been on that creek for the last 10 years is very ingenious, and she or he can make a dam overnight that takes one or two of the municipal employees in their backhoe half a day to clean up.
Mhm. Mhm.
We get the problem with the sudden rush of water. So the dam is broken, what rush water goes through, and the clay, there's nothing to hold the clay together. A
Mhm.
little bit of grass on one side and some tree roots on the other side. But beyond that, there's nothing to keep the clay there. So when you get the sudden rush of water, there goes your ditch.
Mhm. There is a way that beaver dams are recommended to be removed, and that's a staged way of doing it. So basically, what you do is you dig out part of the dam, wait basically an hour for the water level to go down, and then remove the rest of the dam. That's helps alleviate some of that rush all at once, and lowers that the same volume of water is coming out, but it's going over a much longer time period, and that that can be a discussion if we need to, with your drainage superintendent, if there are, and when, not if, but probably when beaver dam removal occurs.
Any other comments or concerns,
No,
Mr. Carla?
I
Mr.
think if any,
Jiguer,
I'll get back to you.
okay, Mr. Jiguer,
Thank you, your worship, and if I can through you, I just had one on a comment that you made. You said that the design is to help the person who has made the application. And that, I'm just want to make sure, like, have we looked at the neighboring or what is downstream to make sure that we're not making a bigger problem somewhere else, or is this basically just to help the applicant and then we will just see what happens once we do the work?
No, I'm obligated to look at and find a sufficient outlet, and a sufficient outlet is deemed as an outlet where I'm not causing any downstream issues, so downstream flooding or erosion problems. So, and that requirement is not just to match pre to post, like if we're doing a development. No, it's a higher standard at that point. So, and hence one of the reasons why I've incorporated so much of the drain farther downstream, because it does allow the drainage superintendent to go in there, and if there is additional problems in the future, to go in there and resolve those issues. And like I said, potentially put in these riffles if need be, to ensure that we don't run into problems in the future.
Thank you.
Mr. Corbin,
A comment.
okay,
The drain itself, because of the fact that of the clay soil, when that water hits the Wild Goose Creek or river, whatever you want to call it, it discolors the color or lack thereof of the water that's already in the creek. And that creek is a natural trout bearing creek. They don't like cloudy water. So as long as we're going to maintain the turbidity down to a minimum, it shouldn't be a problem, but if it does decide to get worked up, then you're gonna have a cloudy water system and you're gonna be affecting some wildlife.
There, we do put sediment traps in, so there are sediment traps downstream of and around the roads. So, and that's to catch, and those are permanent sediment traps for the municipality to maintain as well. We, in my report, I always recommend that there is a buffer strip along the top of the bank of these systems to prevent that the soil to go from running into the system itself. So those are things that we do to prevent excess basically sediment and turbidity in these water systems.
I have
Some
a,
errors in the report, just to highlight them if you don't mind.
me,
There are a few errors in the typewritten report.
okay,
Nothing major, but in the section dealing with the investigation initially, and there's a section there just with myself about the drain itself. And the statement was that he doesn't have the farm property tax class. Indirectly, we do because I have a tenant farmer.
okay,
Okay.
Yep.
The next one is
So I can speak to the farm property tax class. So one thing is, if anyone in the watershed is at this meeting, I would highly recommend that you get the farm property tax class if you can, and that will be confirmed when we do the final paperwork and the grant application to the municipality. Because though this report is a little bit older, some of those values may have changed or are in the process of changing. So again, I will highly recommend that all landowners in the watershed, if they can, to get that farm property tax class. There's a 2/3 grant, and I think with this project, I think there's about $130,000 worth of grant that is potentially available to landowners in the watershed. So again, I highly recommend that you get that and keep that up to date. If you have any questions or concerns about that, I would contact there's an OMAFRA rep in Cochrane, and I would highly recommend that you talk to them to ensure that you can get it, or if your tenant who's farming it keeps the paperwork up.
Counselor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like Counselor Gadry pointed out earlier, this report's about 7 years old now, 2018, I'm guessing. Is there a way we can get a new report done with updated pricing? So that we're aware of the cost change? Obviously, there's gonna have to be some sort of cost change in 7 years.
Mhm.
I'm assuming if you want to put a motion on the floor to just have it updated with current costs and perhaps with some of the changes that Mr. Coggan suggested with longer ditches, that's if you want to. If you'd like to do that, put a motion on the table for that?
Yeah, I'd like to put a motion forward.
Okay. Have a move in a seconder for that? Okay. Okay. I got the names. Question?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Councilor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Who would pay the cost to have an updated report?
Good question. Is that something that is done through you, Mr. Morris?
So if we update the report, those costs would be assessed back to the watershed, essentially in the same proportions that's right now. So that's probably what would happen. So.
Really?
Through the mayor. So if council decides to go through reviewing the report, then they're not adopting it. They're not doing the first and second reading. We're also not going through its quarter revision, correct? We're kind of starting over at the report stage.
Yes. With the understanding that basically the change would be to update the costs, construction costs, and to I guess potentially put in some more riffle structures downstream. And limited just to those items.
And that would be the concerns brought up by Mr. Coggins as well? And then
Yes.
you were- Okay. Councilor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to ask our town manager, is there any properties like this right now that we maintain? That have gone through this process?
Go ahead, someone.
We've done the Martin Drain and we've done a Vimy Ridge Drain.
Okay.
Since, like, the drainage was new, I think those are the only two, Neil, the Martin Drain and the Vimy Ridge Drain.
Yes. Yes.
And we maintain them for life?
Yep.
Yep.
Got another question.
Councilor Charbonneau.
Do we have any money in the budget for drainage? What do we have for drainage?
I don't have the budget here with me, but we do have money we did put money in the budget for drainage, yes, we do.
I guess next time we go through
One
this.
second,
Okay.
I do have it here. About 107,000 in the drainage contracts.
What does that mean, drainage contracts, like new
Municipal
contracts
drain.
or
Pardon me?
is that for new contracts or maintenance?
No, that's for the new drain, dealing with this one, I believe.
Okay. Councilor Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How often do we send an excavator down to maintain these ditches? Like, have we maintained any of them yet?
Mr. Villar?
I started in January, so I'm not sure, of past, I can get you some data, maybe. But, the best way would be for me just to go visually see it.
I can respond to some of those questions a little bit. So, typically a municipality like yours would do it at a ad hoc basis. So whenever there's a request from a landowner, work would occur. In both cases, part of the drains are enclosed systems, so I suspect there's been no maintenance on those ones. And for ditches, typically it would be once every 10 years. They would be cleaned out and brushing maybe once every 5 years, depending how strong the beavers are and how much you want to try to prevent beavers from cleaning up the drain. And in I think most of these cases, the farmers are farming right beside the drain as well, or fairly close to it. So I wouldn't imagine there'd be a lot of ongoing maintenance with the two previous, the Martin and the Vimy Ridge drains.
Oh, yes, Mr. Goldman.
Just as information, there's been no ditching done on that Miller Road in the last 20+ years.
So Mr. Jiguer has the work cut out for him.
Thank you.
But through you, Mayor, if it's possible for the landowner downstream of Miller Road to identify on my watershed plan and on the profiles where the erosion issues are, that'd be helpful for me. And where they have concerns. And if you could provide that back to me, that would be very helpful.
Yes.
I can't quite see where he's marking on the screen. So it'd just be a little more clarification for myself.
Okay, I will make sure that Mr. Cogman has your direct line.
Mr. Barnes, do you want like longitude, latitude of where the problems are? I
can use that information too. So whatever you can would be helpful to me. So
Okay, was moved by Councilor Campbell, second by Councilor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that council receives and considers the engineering report for the Reach drain prepared by K Smart Associates Limited dated June 26, 2020 pursuant to section 4 of the Drainage Act RSO 1990, and that council requests the engineer to review and update the cost estimates and any other applicable sections of that report to reflect current conditions. And further, that a revised engineering report be brought back to council for further consideration once the updates have been completed. Any questions or comments on that? Mr. Jiguer?
Just, we're willing to work with them as much as possible. I know this has been a lengthy process, so I know going back and getting costs. For some is gonna, okay, more time now, I gotta wait more, so if there's anything we can do on our end to help just keep the process moving along, please reach out and we'll get her done, whatever we gotta do.
okay.
Appreciate the positive work towards that. Having read the resolution, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you to the Reaches and Mr. Coughlin. Thank you very much. Mr. Corrigan will get you the contact information for Mr. Morris.
Yeah. That was being it, that's fine.
Yeah, you-
I'll continue on here. The Township of Blackbird, Masson acknowledges the Apatippi and Sinepec Nation traditional territory. We live, play, and work here together, and together we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all those in attendance, that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the township website for review. Do you have any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Two minutes moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that the minutes of the May 13th, 2025 regular council meeting be approved as printed. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Councillor McCutcheon? You. Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Gattery. Be it resolved that the following minutes be received as information. The NEPH board minutes of April 3rd, 2025, and the Phenom AGM meeting minutes of May 4th, 2025. Questions or comments on that? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items listed on the May 27th, 2025 regular council agenda, specifically items 9A to 9B, be received by council, and that any motions contained therein be supported as written. Questions or comments on those supports? All those in favor? Move on to new business. Was moved by Councillor Gattery, seconded by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that council receive report number DR 2025-004 regarding the installation of public sunscreen dispensers through the Save Your Skin Foundation. And that council approve participation in the Save Your Skin Foundation's 2-year trial program, which includes the installation of 2 dispensers at no cost to the township. And further, that staff be directed to coordinate with the Save Your Skin Foundation to proceed with the installation and ongoing monitoring of the dispensers during the trial period. Questions or comments on this? Councillor Charbonneau.
Just a comment that I think it's a great idea, and I'm sure it's right up Lisa's alley. I'm sure she's excited to get them set up. There's no cost to us, so it's a very good idea.
Yeah, and the 2 locations are Gautier Lake and
Boat launch.
Boat launch.
the boat launch, yeah.
Yeah.
So they should be used fairly well. Good. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Campbell, that council approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Masson Curling Club to offset the cost of hosting their Oktoberfest Fest 2025 Festival Community Event. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we should continue with the 1,000 donation. We've been doing that for the last couple of years. It's been going good for us and not hurting anybody.
Question, comments from Councillor Charbonneau?
I'll say the same thing as last time. It brings a lot of people to town. It's a very big success. So it's nice to be part of it.
So you're in support of okay. Like general consensus around the room?
Yeah.
I'll just reread the resolution then, that council approve a donation in the amount of $1,000 to the Masson Curling Club to offset the cost of hosting their Oktober 2025 Festival Community Event. All those in favor? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Campbell. This is Newman. Be it resolved that council receive report number CLK 2025-016 regarding the development of the township owned parcel at 469 Vimy Ridge Road. And that council refer the development concept of 469 Vimy Ridge Road to the Economic Development Committee for further review. And further that the committee be requested to evaluate potential development options and report back to council with recommended supporting information and any proposed next steps. Yeah. So before we open it up for questions or comments, the reason we revise it a little bit is in talking with Mr. Lee is my concept for the committees when we discussed creating them was for a committee to come up with an idea, bring it to council. Council can discuss it and then either agree or disagree to the concept and send that back to the committee for the committee to do the work, to do the research, to do the phone calls, rather than having our staff do it. Our staff is doing a tremendous job, but they're busy. But if we start giving them something to do for the physicians and one for the events and one for the economic development, and one for something is gonna have to give, some part of our community is gonna lack. So that's why I think in a case like this, and we'll see it later on as well, if we can, rather than us picking one out of the three proposals, if we give that back to our committee and our committee can spend a couple weeks reviewing it and come back with suggestion to council, then council can say, yes, that's a good idea, or no, it's not a good idea. That's why we revised the suggestion here, because obviously working on a proposal for 469 Vimy Ridge Road is not something we can sit and solve in the next 14 minutes. It's going to take a lot of research, and I think it's better at the committee level and then supported by the staff once we get an idea. So I'll open it up for questions or comments. Okay. Having read the resolution, all those in favor? Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, seconded by Councillor McCutcheon. That council receive, where are we? Yep, that council receive report CLK 2025-013 as information. And that council directs staff to consult with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing on the legal process, implications, and options for a partial annexation or restructuring of municipal boundaries into unorganized territory. So I will open it up for questions or comments from council. Councillor Allen.
What area are we looking at annexing?
Last council meeting, we talked about, what was the name of the road?
Plummer?
Clark and Plummer.
Clark and Plummer. So what we're doing, what this report will be is to give us guidance onto what is involved in any type of annexing, whether we make the town bigger, whether we make the town smaller, just what the processes are, the length of time, the costs, how much staff time would be involved, just so that we don't jump into something and not know the true costs. So this would be a fairly intensive report. So that's why we want to start now, so that when we do go to give you the answers, we know exactly what the procedure is. Councillor Allen?
Because it states right here, this report provides a preliminary review of a request from the Economic Development Committee to consider transferring a portion of the township into unorganized territory. So it's not necessarily talking about Clark and Plummer, but it's talking about a different portion of the township into unorganized territory. So that's why I'm asking
Okay.
whereabouts are we talking?
Yeah, no, we didn't, we just,
Just seems very specific in the way that it's written. So
nope, we just put out there for, the Economic Development Committee. We just put out there for just discussion. Councillor Campbell?
That was my next
Okay.
question.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Be moved by Counselor Campbell, seconded by Counselor McCutcheon, be it resolved that council receive report number CLK 2025-012 for information, and that council direct staff to begin foundational work in 2025 towards the development of a community improvement plan, CIP, including background research, stakeholder engagement, and consultation with professionals. And that staff report back to council with proposed terms of reference and a recommended process for retaining a qualified consultant in 2026 to lead the full development and adoption of the CIP. Questions or comments from council? Counselor Allen?
Just says, consultation with professionals and things like that. Do we have that budgeted for the CIP?
This would be for 2026, so we don't have it, we haven't done the 2026 budget yet.
Okay, but
So what we're hoping is that over the course of the next 7 months, that staff can do a little bit of work on it to get the foundational work done, so that when we do get the consultant, most of the majority of work is done, so we're trying not to do all the work, but at least give them an idea of what we want.
it's just again, it says specifically foundational work in 2025, stakeholder engagement and consultation with professionals.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that if it is happening in 2025, that we've either budgeted for it or we have funds to do that within the 2025 year.
Mr. Shiger.
So you, Mr. Mayor, so the reason why it's written like that is because we are going to talk very preliminary with either different communities or an engineering firm on just going, if we wanted to do a CIP in 2026, what can we do in 2025 on ourselves to get things ready, have proper documentation so that when 2026 budget is approved, we can go, here you go, we've done all the preliminary work. So that, because if we wait and we only start the process in 26, we're probably into 27 before we actually have something back. And then we're trying to really focus on the future on applying for grants for the municipality. And a lot of times you need to have these foundation works done. So we're just trying to get as much work ahead of time before the next budget so that we can have something to go to engineering for.
I just wanted to make sure there was no money being spent that we weren't prepared for.
Nope.
That's all.
Okay, good. Counselor Gathering?
I just think it's a very good idea, because if we have a plan, then we have something to follow. So for the next council, they'll have a roadmap, so to
Yep.
speak.
And it would really help with funding. If we know what we're talking about, it really helps with funding. So that's the whole concept of this. Any other questions from council? Call for vote, all those in favor? You. Was moved by Councilor Gadry, second by Councilor Allen, be it resolved that council received the recommendation from the Accessibility Advisory Committee regarding the accessibility of the arena. And that council direct staff to evaluate and report on potential remedies to address the accessibility barrier at the main entrance. Specifically, the step into the facility. And further, that this matter be considered a priority due to its impact on equitable access to the building. That was a hard one to read. Questions or comments from council? No? All those in favor? It was moved by Councilor Charbonneau, second by Councilor Allen, be it resolved the council received the recommendation from the Senior Advisory Committee regarding the development of a community survey for seniors. And that staff be directed to assist with the preparation and distribution of the survey in consultation with the committee. Questions or comments from council? Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is this not something else we can let the committee take care of?
Yeah. Very identical
They
concept.
can do the survey, they can distribute it.
As long as we give the blessing to the committee. Yep. And then it takes the load off of our staff. Yep. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Cancel. Be it resolved that council receives a recommendation from the BRM Events Committee regarding the creation of an online presence for the committee, and that council directs staff to develop and maintain a dedicated BRM Events Committee page on the Township of Black River Masson's official website to share information about the committee's mandate, upcoming events, meeting dates, and opportunities for community involvement. Questions or comments from council? Councillor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this page, I'm guessing there would be one staff and one committee member to have access? Or how would that work?
We could set that here if you'd like. We need to ensure that it's monitored properly, so. Mr. Jagger?
I would highly suggest that the committee would bring what they want back to staff and then staff would post it, because I think it's gonna be tough, one, to only give them access to that page. Right, and then just people can miss, press one or two wrong buttons, and I'm not the IT guy, so that just kind of worries me when we have more than, our staff just kind of actually posting things on their Facebook, or on our webpage, so I would highly recommend that we leave that with staff.
Yep.
And the committee just to bring us what they want on.
And I would assume that we would leave that with Miss McIntyre being the events committee, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? We put that part about Lisa in there too. Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, seconded by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that council receive report CLK 2025-015 information, and that council accept the invitation from the Mixed Healthcare Group for a tour of Bingham Hospital as part of the ongoing physician recruitment efforts, and that the physician recruitment committee coordinate with mixed staff to arrange the visit and bring back relevant information to council for further consideration. Questions, comments? I will give just a quick update on this. Is when we did a quick meeting, myself, Mr. Lee, Mr. Jagger, with Paul Chatelain and two people from the mix, and it was and I've been on the hospital board for how many years, and I think Mr. Jagger as well, but it was a real eye-opener to see some of the comments that they made. So just a tour is really going to help everybody on that committee learn about. It's not as easy as we think it's going to be. So I think this tour would be very, very valuable to see what's going on. Mr. Lee?
Through the mayor, I just want to add that the tour is also open to all members of council. It's not just for the committee.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. The more the better, because we all have to make the decision at the end of the day. Councillor Council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So once the tour date's set, you'll let us all know when the date is, date and time.
Through the mayor. So actually, given how freely they're at the hospital, you guys can arrange it yourself to have a pretty quick schedule. But I can arrange it as well. It goes on that second.
Okay. All those in favor? Moving on to reports, moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of DPS 2025-009 April monthly report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments for Mr. Jagger? Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if you'll have the answer, but everybody's complaining about the dust. I'm just curious when we plan on starting the dust control program.
So there's two parts to my answer. So first part is we've been trying to get our granular A tender out so that we don't go and put gravel on a road that we've already put calcium. We have, selected who's going to be putting down our calcium. Historically, we have never put calcium on our roads before the middle of June. June 16 is actually the earliest that I could find. That being said, Every side road is posted 60 kilometers and was in Black River, Matson. And so if you're doing 90 kilometers on Monahan Road and there's dust, there's absolutely gonna be lots of dust. If we actually all just slow down a little bit, the dust is actually moderate. I'm not saying that there isn't any, but it's bearable. So there's, we also have to take that in consideration. But right now we're tentatively booked to start mid-June. We're gonna start with the heavier traffic roads and the ones that are deemed a category 4 or 5 as per our classifications. And then we'll save the ones that are getting gravel for the last couple weeks.
Council Jordan?
Can I get a cost per kilometer for calcium?
It depends on how much you want to put. So if we're looking at an individual or a group who says we would be willing to entertain to pay to put calcium on this road. And that we don't just want it before and after houses. I've reached out to the company that we've dealt with and I haven't gotten that response back yet. Cause it almost looks like one tanker could do about 6 kilometers. For my estimate, but I'm just waiting for confirmation before I do that.
Council McCutcheon?
So, the residents on Balgonia Road from 101 to 11. It's a highly traffic road, the dumps on there. And, they constantly get dust. And all that stuff. Is there? I know we're supposed to do it from so far in front of the residents, to the other side of the residents. On a road like Balgonia Road, I don't know what category it is. Would we extend those distances to keep the dust down from all the traffic? Like, it is a high traffic road because of the dump alone and Goche Lake.
So our roads are pretty much all classified 5. Most of our roads are all 5. I just found the document today, so it's been a busy afternoon trying to wrap it all in, but what we can do is go from, we can start on other roads and see what we have left. Like we have $193,000, I believe, in the budget. So once I get my question answered, hopefully this week, I'll know exactly how many kilometers I can do with that much money. There could be the opportunity where instead of the liquid, maybe we get a little bit of flake brought in and apply water to certain areas, like where they're like on a Balgonia Road, in between houses where there is nothing, put some flakes and some water to try to help with the dust. It would be a little more cheaper than going with the liquid. So I'm trying to look at those options. Thank you.
Council Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once we do get the price per kilometer, I know a lot of cities down south, that's what they do is if somebody calls and they just pay it, right? So if they own 160 acres, they own 1 kilometer road, they pay for that 1 kilometer and then you have to calcium the whole thing. So, but we just need that price first and then we can, because at the end of the day, it's always been like hydropole to hydropole, right? Just because people are calling more, doesn't mean we have to do more.
No, but I will say, in some roads, you can tell where there's been more calcium, because it seems like the road is sticking more together, so I think there is a benefit, especially on the higher traffic roads, on having a little bit more calcium, because I think it's actually helping us not have to go there as much with the grader. But I think there is a little bit of a savings there, but how much, I'm not sure, I haven't done that analysis yet, but it's been at the top of our list.
And I'm gonna comment on items 4 and 5 on your report. The community presence and engagement, I think it's great. I like to see our staff out in the public at the grocery store, at the coffee shops. Something we haven't seen in a long, long time, so. Not only to you, but to the rest of the staff that it's out there. Very, very much appreciated. And developer investment liaison. I think we all want to make this community grow. But if we just hear from an individual or developer and then it just sits on the shelf, it'll never go anywhere, but you seem to be continually following up. So that is only gonna help our community, so. Appreciate that as well. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Gadry, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that council acknowledges report of CLK 2025-011. April monthly report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments on clerk's report? Easy.
He's not looking at nobody.
Gotta come up with a question here.
No sudden.
I just don't want no more emails from you.
They're informational updates.
I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Gadry, be resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of T 2025-018. April monthly report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments for the treasurer? Councillor McCutcheon.
You, Mr. Mayor, how are we doing on tax arrears?
Very well. With mayor to council. We had about 200 files and I know we have brought that down probably over 100 now. My number is probably up around the 250,000 that we've been collecting for arrears.
Making headway.
Mhm.
Call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Allen. Be it resolved, the council acknowledges the receipt of DR 2025-003 April monthly report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Good job, Ms. McIntyre. Keep up your work. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of FC 2025-04 April monthly report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to see if, as a council, we can come up with an idea to try and recruit more firefighters. Because it just seems like we're losing more and more and there's none coming in. I don't know if anybody has any ideas on what we can do to help them.
We could check see what the outlying communities are doing as well, not only here, but down south. But yeah, I don't, it's an ongoing battle, I know that. Mr. Jagger?
For the record, I did submit my application to a BRN. As Councillor Charbonneau asked me to do. But no, absolutely, it's for sure a growing concern of mine as well. And it's something that we have to do a deep dive in and how we can support the chief and its staff over there. And you know, it's a thankless job for sure. And everyone's life is getting busier, it seems like, and there's just less and less time for volunteering. The one thing that mayor and council can do is, you know, I think Eric Falls wrote one too, and write a letter back to the province, not supporting the mandatory testing that is coming up in 2026. You're losing a lot of your volunteers because they just don't have the time it takes to become certified. I was fortunate enough, I'm part of a group that we got grandfathered in because we had X amount of years of service. But there's, you know, there's a big portion, probably 70% of this fire department alone, that they're not gonna be grandfathered in. And if they don't go through with the testing, that means 70% of our fire department is at risk of no longer being able to serve. So if you're talking to ministers, and if you wanted staff to prep a letter, we could do so, and not as support of the mandatory certification in 2026. The more letters that get sent, maybe they'll try to do something different.
Yeah, so true. The testing is severe. Councillor Charbonneau?
Since hearing that, I'd like to move a resolution that if we can.
Okay. We also have to not only consider bringing members on, but we have to consider that there's some people that are gonna resign after many years.
Mhm.
Our CEO of our library has a husband that's been there 40 years. 40 years. So after a while, they want to start playing with the grandkids. They don't want to be going to fire calls and fire meetings, so we're gonna lose those gentlemen as well. Mr. Lee?
Through the mayor, just for the resolution for clarification, be resolved that council directs staff to draft a letter in opposition to the fireman requirements coming up, or
Mandatory, yeah.
Yeah.
Mandatory firefighter 1 classification.
So the resolution reads, be it resolved that council directs staff to draft a letter in opposition to the mandatory firefighter classifications. And send it to the province and all municipalities. So if I could have a move and a seconder. Okay. There we go. And. Yeah, so. All those in favor? Carried. The other resolution was to receive the report of the fire chief. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Campbell, be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of 2025-05 Library CEO April monthly report and the library minutes of April 15th, 2025 as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Councillor Guthrie?
Yes, I just wanna say that, we have a pretty nice little library here. And I would urge all council members to go for a visit to see what we offer.
We could do a tour of the hospital and a tour of the library.
Mhm.
It's not a bad idea.
On the weekend.
Yeah,
No.
but in reading the report, you can see that a lot of programs and very, very busy there. So it's nice to see that the programs that are being run. That
Yes, they're well attended,
well attended. Yeah.
lots of traffic.
We want traffic in the library, not on the front road.
No, you haven't into.
Any questions for the CEO? Councillor Allen?
I just wanted to make another comment on how good of a job that you're doing. I don't think I ever thought my kid would be at the library so much in my entire life, and she lives there, which is absolutely awesome, and I can't be more grateful for her and some of her friends to have a safe and secure place for them to go and hang out and read books and chit chat and do whatever they do there and absolutely enjoy themselves and go back. Thank you. Thank you.
And it's free.
Yes.
Great, like your good comments. All those in favor of the resolution? Great. Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Charbonneau, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-33 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the township of Black River, Mass and be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of May 2025. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Campbell, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-27 being a bylaw to adopt a grants to organization policy be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of May 2025. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-34 being a bylaw to adopt a tax collection policy be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of May 2025. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-37, being a bylaw to stop up and close road allowance abutting 669 Euclid, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of May 2025. So I'll get Mr. Lee to maybe explain this just so that, because it is a bit confusing.
You skipped one.
Did I?
Mhm.
Because probably Counselor Allen needs to move my papers around there.
So far away.
Okay. You got me. Moved by Counselor Gadry, second by Counselor Allen, be resolved that bylaw number 2025-36, being a bylaw to deem 667 and 669 Euclid as one lot, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of May 2025. So can I have you speak on that so that it's not as layman's terms?
So through the mayor, with the deeming bylaw, the resident has the second lot, so they're gonna merge it as one. They wanna build a garage on the second lot, but you can't have a garage on a single lot. You have to have a property already. The problem is that second lot is too close to a road, which is actually a road. So this first bylaw deems it as one lot, and the second bylaw stops up the secondary road, so you can build a garage closer to the property line without applying for minor variance.
I think the
Questions?
numbers, yeah, I think the numbers are screwed up on the two bylaws. Cause 225-34. Oh. Is to put it as one lot,
Yep,
and the 2025-36. Oh, no,
and 36 is to deem it as
as one lot,
lot.
okay, no. it's
37
fine.
is stop.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Jagger?
And there's not really an actual road there. It's
No.
just in our official plan that it says there's a road allowed. So by doing the deeming bylaw, it allows us to move forward with the residence request.
Which will be in potential garage construction.
Mhm.
So, on the first resolution, all those in favor? Great. Now this one. Moved by Counselor McCutcheon, seconded by Counselor Campbell, be resolved that bylaw number 2025-37, being a bylaw to stop up and close road allowance abutting 669 Euclid, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of May 2025. All those in favor? Goes to question and answer period, and we don't have any questions from last week. We're gonna be questions from the audience today? Nope. Move on to adjournment. Moved by Counselor Gadry, second by Counselor Campbell. Be it resolved that this regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 7:59 PM. All those in favor? Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, staff.